Hey everyone, going to go live with a clarity sessions. These are short little trainings that I'm putting out in December as we start to head into 2026 to help you gain more clarity in 2026. Listen, when we have more clarity, okay, we are then able to make better decisions in our life. So I just want to do these short trainings for you. And, this is something I'm passionate about. If you guys follow me on Instagram, Facebook, all the social media, you know I do these short little videos. I love to do these videos. I love to help people not only, do better in the workplace, but more importantly, do better at home, become better husbands, better wives, better parents, live a healthier life. It's important to me. It makes a big difference, and it's something that I love to share with individuals. So this is going to be a short clarity session, about 20 minutes. I got my girl, my dog right over there. She'll probably only let me go about 20 minutes before she'll want to head out for another walk. So, anyways, let's get into it. A short training to help you gain more clarity in 2026. Listen, we're in December. This is a big time. This is an important time. This is a time where a lot of people get excited about making changes in the new year. And I think it's a good time to do that, right? You can reflect back on 2025 and look and see what changes you would like to make for 2026. And listen, life is a journey, it's a progression. There's always things that we should be reviewing and looking at and changing, adjusting and growing. And that's the beauty, I think, of living life. As you get older, our bodies may deteriorate a little bit more. Hopefully, they're not our minds. But what we can do is we can get a little wiser. We can gain a little bit more knowledge. We're hopefully able to love and serve and be more of an impact to those around us in a positive way. So it's a wonderful thing to do that, right? Just to grow and get better. So in these clarity sessions, let's go ahead, 20 minutes, 18 minutes or less. If you have a pen or a paper or can write something down, I encourage you to do that. Listen, life gets a little bit lighter when we get clear. When we have clarity in our life, it just gets a little bit lighter. And listen, life is heavy as is. There's going to be things that happen in our life. If we're not in a storm, we're going out of a storm, or a storm's coming. And that's just how it is. And that's okay. But that's just how the journey is. But when we're clear, when our sail is set, those winds can hit us in all different directions, and it's okay. It's all right. We're going to make it through because we are clear on who it is that we want to be in the most important areas of our life. And listen, I think what happens so much in our life is when we are misaligned with who it is that we want to be in those important areas of our life, we're out of alignment, right? It's almost like driving down the road and you're trying to journey through life. You're trying to just go ahead and move forward, but you're out of alignment. There's always that pull. There's always that frustration. There's always that um, annoyance because there's certain things that you know that you want to do a little bit better in, but you're not doing. So, what I want to help us to do in this session is to get a little bit more aligned with who it is that we want to be and discover who it is that we want to be in those key areas of our life. And when you look at that, guys, listen, when I talk about misalignment, most of us drive cars here. You can understand that analogy. Also, understand that as we journey, as we progress forward in life, it's almost like if we neglect areas in our life that matter, like if we just focus on work, but we neglect our relationships at home, then we have to go fix the relationships at home and then work kind of suffers. What I want to get across in this clarity session is we are going to hopefully in 2026 become very clear on the things and what's important in the most important areas of our life and not neglect them anymore. To stop neglect, right? It's very hard to go back and fix something that you have neglected for quite some time. And listen, what I talk about is listen, that's where we get out of alignment. And that's where that little frustration, that inner turmoil takes place is when we're not aligned with who it is we want to be. And we're not doing the things that we know we should be doing in the most important areas of our life. Or we're just kind of confused, right? And we just don't know. And life's just not seeming to work the best that it possibly could. And life is going to have some challenges as is anyways, right? So when we get clear, when we get aligned, it matters. And listen, guys, when we stop fighting for what we want in our life, what we don't want will take over. That's just the truth of life. So we have to fight for those good relationships, whether that's in a marriage. We have to fight for those good relationships. You know, if we're fortunate enough to be parents, we have to fight for good health. We have to fight for, success, whatever that may look like in the workplace. It's important. You got to do that, because if you're not clear and you don't fight for it, like I said, what you don't want is going to take over. And when you think about this, guys, a lot of times it's just a vision problem. We really haven't taken the time to identify that vision for the most important areas of our life. And you can't hit a target you do not have. I think Zig Ziglar said that, but it's true, guys. You can't hit a target you don't have. So if you're not even aware who it is you're trying to be in your relationships, if you're not even aware, what it is that you're the most important activities that you need to do in your business to give you the greatest success. If you're not even aware of that, if you don't even know what they are, you don't even know what you're trying to create or do, it's very hard to hit it. It's just not like success just falls upon us in our relationships, and we just magically get healthy, and we magically just, all these things don't. No, we have to have direction. We have to be clear. We have to be intentional every single day to move forward, to bring success in those most important areas of our life. So listen, I'm gonna go through 5 questions with you. I call these 5 questions to clarity, or 5 things that you need to think about. And these, we're going to go through these very quick. Now, when I do these trainings and when I work with people and do these little sessions, clarity sessions, this takes a little bit longer, right? We have more time, we're a little bit more detailed. I go through a little bit more, but these clarity sessions, I'm trying to go through pretty quick, right? 20 minutes or less. Like I said, Ellie, my dog right over there, isn't going to let me go much longer. And if someone comes to the front door outside over here, she's going to let us know for sure. So, anyways, and there's a lot of Amazon packages that are coming to the house lately because it's that time of year. So, 5 questions. Number one is, I want you to define your most important areas in your life. Define the most important areas of life. Listen, a lot of times they're similar for all of us. We have our spirituality. I'm a Christian man. I'm not sure what you believe, but I'm a Christian. We have our relationships, whether you're in a marriage, however that looks in your life. If you have your relationships of being a parent, right? That's an important area. You have your health, the body that God's given you. That's an important area. Your health. Most people don't do well because they don't feel well. So that's important. And then you have your careers, whatever that may be. I think I'm doing this on LinkedIn, going live on LinkedIn now. There's a lot of business individuals, but listen, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, and you manage a household, listen, my wife has managed our household, and it's a pretty big deal. We have 4 kids, been married close to 30 years. We have one more still left in the house, and we have income properties, we have rental properties. By the way, that's what I do, help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. It's a big deal. Plus, she's been 30 years as a NICU nurse, almost 30 years. So she's busy, right? So I understand the idea of somebody managing a household. That's a big, big deal, especially when you got kids when they're younger, for sure. You're running around. That's a big deal. So that's an important area of your life. And then there may be a passion or a purpose. That's another important area of your life, or recreation. So you have your spirituality, you have your relationships, your marriage, you as a parent, your health, and then your business. So there's areas in your life that matter, that do matter. And when you neglect them, you feel them, right? And when they're not doing so well, they affect the other areas. Listen, some people say they can compartmentalize. I don't think that you can. I know that I'm not good at it, right? If my marriage, if I'm having some issues in my marriage, right? And then I go, and let's say, we get in an argument, a disagreement, a conversation, then I go to the workplace. I'm going to be thinking about that a little bit. If there's something that I'm doing as me as a father, and it's not going so well, it affects the workplace. I think about that. I just don't turn it off, right? Some people can do that, but I don't think that's necessarily good. And vice versa. If your work isn't going as well, right? If there's struggle there and certain things there, it affects the relationships. It just does. Sometimes we say, well, we're not going to bring work home. I get that. But still, subconsciously in our feelings, it affects. But if we can define and know what those key areas are, and then get better at them, it makes a incredibly much better experience, right? And going through life. So number two, so I want you to define those areas. You can write them down. Okay. Number two, I want you to rate those areas on a scale from 1 to 10. Where are you? Okay. One meaning that area of my life is completely horrid, and 10 being, you know what, it couldn't get any better. I don't think anybody's a 10. Okay. But you have to know where you are, right? Where are you in that key area? And this may be a conversation you have to have with your spouse. Say, listen, where are we in our marriage on a scale from 1 to 10? How good am I doing? Okay. How well do you feel loved? How well do you feel served? Now, listen, notice I said, how well do you feel loved? Keeping it on what you can do, right? And this is all about you. This isn't about somebody else doing something different. This is about what you can do, not about somebody else doing something different in the workplace. We are getting clear on the person that we can be, the things that we can do in the most important areas of our life. So sometimes in a relationship, you got to ask where you are because you need to know. You got to get positive feedback, or you got to get the negative feedback. Because listen, you may think you're an 8 and your marriage doing pretty good, and then your spouse says, you know what, it's about a 3, and I was about ready to give you your walk-in papers. Like, that's a big deal. You need to find that out. So you need to find and rate where you are in those key areas of your life. And now what you need to do in 3 words or less, 3 words or less. So you may have to, you could use chat, chat to help you with this. Create a vision or a goal for that key area. Create a vision. For me, I'll just give you an example. So me, I just want to be connected to God. That's my spirituality. That's the vision. For my marriage, I want to be an incredible husband. That's the vision. That's the goal of what I'm trying to be. For me being a father, I want to be an amazing father. Okay, that's 2 words, right? Amazing father. And then for my health, I just write down super fit. Notice I said write down. We're going to get to this later on. Super fit. I want to feel super fit. I want to have that vitality, that energy. So super fit. And then for real estate, I always have a number in real estate. I think in business and our work, it's good to have a number that you're trying to hit, right? Because in business, the best measurement, I think, of how you're doing in business is a number, whatever that may be. Of what you're trying to hit. So for me, helping people buy, sell, and invest in real estate, it's a certain amount of income I want to net, or a certain amount of homes that I want to help people sell or buy or invest in. So that's a number, specific number. So I want you in those key areas, in 3 words or less, create a vision or a goal for that area. Now, the fourth thing I want you to do, we're moving pretty quick, is what's holding you back from that being a reality today or a reality in the future. What's been holding you back in making that a reality? You know, is it doubt? Is it fear? Okay, and go through each of these areas. What's holding you back? Is it a past trauma that you haven't dealt with? Is it an addiction that you're going through? Listen, if you want to be an incredible wife, or you want to be an amazing husband, whatever it may be, or you want to, you know, you can't be having an addiction at the same time, for example, with pornography, and you're just going to be an amazing husband, or, to your wife. It doesn't happen. You may think you can, but listen, there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of stuff there. I don't think you're going to pursue her properly. I think you're going to be distorted as an individual, as a man, of what intimacy looks like. Okay. Or you're just, I don't, right? It's not right. It's hidden. So listen, there may be certain things that are holding you back from making that vision a reality. You need to know what they are, and you need to deal with them. Listen, social media is a big deal. So distracted. There's so much addiction going on. If you want to, let's say, gosh, you could take it for anything. Again, you want to be more connected to your wife, or you want to be a better father, but you're constantly on social media checking your feed. That's the problem. It's not going to happen. It's just not, right? If you so you have to look at the things that are holding you back in those key areas of your life. It makes a tremendously difference, and correct them. Okay. The last thing, this is incredibly important. Again, I'm going super fast on this. When I do these with individuals, when I do these with, businesses and on groups, I go a lot slower, kind of break it down, give more examples. But again, I want to get these clarity sessions under 20 minutes and get them to you. Now, What I need you to do is identify in those key areas the 1 to 2 actions that if you did them every single day or 5 days a week, would make that vision a reality, would make that goal a reality. Listen, there's not 1,000 things that you need to do in the most important areas of your life consistently on a daily basis. Usually there's about 1 to 2 things that if you did them, that you were consistent, would give you the results. I love to give this example in marriage. You may be thinking, my gosh, I don't know what to do to help my relationship. I come home from being gone and I help her around the house. I start doing the dishes and then I look at her sitting on the couch and she's giving me a crusty, and you're confused, right? And then she's on the couch looking at you saying, my gosh, he's been gone all day. Why doesn't he just come down and sit with me and just have a conversation? I want to talk. I want to know how his day went, right? So you're doing acts of service and she's thinking quality time, right? So you need to identify the most important actions. Maybe when your kids are young, you want to be an incredible father, incredible mother. You know, I know there's a lot of things you got to do, right? There's a ton of things, but I'm talking about identifying a very important thing and stick with that. So maybe as a dad, it's like, you know what? Every single night, I'm going to make sure that I tuck my kids into bed and I tell them a good story or I read them a good book, whatever it may be, right? And this will change. These actions will change depending on where you are in your life, in your health. There's not 1,000 things you need to do to stay healthy. Start out, maybe it's just 50 push-ups, 50 air squats, and 50 sit-ups. Well, that's 150 things, but you know what I'm saying? Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Do that, and then adjust. But what I'm saying is, guys, you know, I'll talk about business, for example. For me in my real estate, yeah, there's a lot of different things I could do. There's a lot of different things that I do. But the most important thing is if I can contact 15 people a day, have conversations or communication with 15 people a day, that is the biggest thing that influences my business in a positive way. So you understand that. Listen, there's 1 to 2 things, and I need you to identify the 1 to 2 things in the most important areas of your life that will make the biggest difference in your life. Now, listen, so we talked about that. Okay. Define your areas, rate your areas, create a vision for your areas, identify what's holding you back in those areas, and then identify the 1 to 2 things that if you did them Monday through Friday, you could take a couple of days off and just flake, whatever, that would bring the greatest impact. Now, think about this. So you have that. What happens a lot of times with New Year's resolutions? Okay. I think the biggest mistake that happens is people write it down, but then they don't consistently write it down, or they write it down once and then they put it in the drawer and then they never see it again, right? They never see it again. So you have to have systems in order, I feel, to have success in these key areas of your life. Now, listen, I use a day page. I'm going to grab this one right here. This is what I have. I have a day page. It's a very simple, every single day I write down the date, I write down the vision in each of the key areas of my life. Okay. And I do this every day. And then I write down the 1 to 2 actions and I have to-do list, appointments, meetings like this. If you want this PDF, just reach out to me. When I do these trainings and different things for individuals, organizations, they get all this information, they get the PDF, but text me, direct message me, and I'll send you the PDF that you can have that as well. The importance of this is it's got to be somewhere. You got to write it down every single day. There's a good book, What They Don't Teach You in Harvard Business School. Mark McCormick wrote this book. He founded IMG, the sports marketing company, IMG Academy. And what he used to do incredibly successfully, he talks about in the book, is he just had a yellow legal pad, those old school kind of yellow legal pads. You can still get them. But every single day before it started, he would write down the most important things that he needed to get done in the day. He would write it down and then check it off. This is incredibly important, guys. Jim Rohn talks about this, ROHM. He used to say, start the day or finish the day before it starts. What that means is know what it is that you need to get done, okay, and write it down before the day starts. That's what he's talking about that. And listen, if you want to sleep better at night, Get your stuff written down before you go to bed of the most important things or the things you need to get done the following day. You know, where you sit in bed, you're thinking, you're just playing through all these different things. The best way, get it out of here, put it on paper. Now, listen, if you write that down every single day, if you write down your vision and the 1 to 2 actions that you need to get done in the most important areas of your life will progress very nicely in the way that you want it to go. I'm not saying life is going to be easy, but it's going to be much better because like I said, your sale will be set and this is incredibly important. So listen, if you want that PDF, I call it the My Day page. I have that. I also have that in a digital version as well. So, you can go through your phone. It's a little app. You kind of identify all those things at the end of the day. You kind of check off and make sure you did it. You can journal in there, you can take notes in there. So I have that app as well that if you want that, reach out to me and I can get that to you. But I don't care how you do it. You can buy just a simple journal and just write it down every single day, your vision, connected to God, amazing husband, amazing spouse, whatever it may be. And listen, it's going to be very similar. I want this to be very simple for you. Sometimes what we do is we make life incredibly more complicated than it already is. If we just did the activities that make the biggest difference in those key areas for life, it helps tremendously, guys. So listen, I want to think about oh, one more thing I want to hit. So you finish the day before you start. And then at the end of the day, what's important, and I have something here on my day page, is review the day. Just look and see, how did you do? It doesn't mean, guys, that you're going to be perfect every single day. But listen, if you've been neglecting your marriage, if you have not been speaking your spouse's love language, okay, at least if you haven't done it, you say, okay, it's Tuesday. I wrote that I was going to, spend 20 minutes with her, or I wrote that I was going to, ask her how her day went. I wrote down that, whatever, I'm just going through different things, that I was going to say something kind to my spouse today. Maybe that's just one of the activities, something kind to your spouse. I didn't do it today. But you know what? When you review at the end of the day, okay, instead of letting 2 months go by, 6 months go by, a year, you caught it in a day. So then tomorrow you do a little bit better, right? You write it down tomorrow, you write down the activity, again, planning your day, and you do it again tomorrow. See what I'm saying? It keeps you on track, keeps you on track. You don't neglect. Listen, y- I think sometimes we can think that we can just kind of know what it is that we need to do and we just kind of wing it. Well, I think I'm a good husband, or I think I know what I need to do in my business, or, I think I'm being a good dad. Well, let's not guess and let's not wing it in 2026. Let's actually identify the things and then take intentional action towards that. Now, listen, I want to give you how many things? 3 things of why this is important. Number one, I think, is to be an example, right? If you have people around you that you influence, right? You're a parent, you have friends, you have coworkers, whatever it may be. The best way to influence, I think, somebody in a positive way is to be an incredible example of a wonderful human being that has intention, that has focus, that wants to love, that wants to serve, that has some drive, that has some ambition. Be that example. This is an example when you start to do this. I mean, imagine, when you start to take these key actions in the most important areas of your life, it's going to affect people in a positive way around you. It just That's just how it works. So, number one, you can be an example. Number two benefit of this is inner peace. Guys, a lot of times the inner turmoil that we have inside is because we are not in alignment with who it is that we want to be in the most important areas of our life. So we begin to have more inner peace. That matters tremendously. Okay. And who doesn't want more inner peace? There's another thing too. I'm gonna add maybe two more, but three. Focus, right? This is going to help you focus in a world where it is incredibly easy to get distracted, right? I do a lot of posting, like I said, on social media. I try to post, put some positive, and get off. But sometimes I get distracted, right? While it's uploading, these videos, and I'm like, well, I'll just scroll while it's uploading. Next thing you know, it's been uploaded for like 5 minutes, but I'm still scrolling. So listen, it's going to help you stay focused and not neglect because you have a game plan in the day of what it is that you need to get done. And listen, if you get it done, if I make this joke sometimes, like before you check your social feed, check your spouse's needs, right? I think that's important. So listen, if your spouse, if you're doing what you need to do with your spouse, if you're being the dad or the mom you need to be to your kids, heck yeah, take a break, zone out, do whatever the hell you want to do. Just make sure that you're not doing that, okay, when you've neglected the most important areas of your life because it ain't going to go so well, right? So this actually creates more freedom in your life, I feel, to do the things that you want to do. Um, and then what I talked about, the journey does get a little bit lighter, right? Life is a challenge. It's hard, guys. But the neat thing about this is when we have a game plan, when we have our sail set, when we know that we are progressing. Listen, one of the neat things about life is I think we feel happy when we are progressing towards a desired goal or desired vision. When we don't have vision in our life, okay, life gets pretty crappy. It gets pretty hard. But when we are progressing or moving towards, or we are on a growth journey, which is what we're doing, a growth journey, you know, it feels good. You have purpose, you have passion, you have a little bit more direction, you have a little bit more drive, and it helps you when you get knocked off course. It helps you get back on it a lot quicker. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this clarity session. Went a little bit longer, went 26 minutes. Didn't want to go 26. The dog's being incredibly good right here. If you need anything, reach out to me and let me know. I'd love to help. I'd love to come to your organization, your business. I do these individual sessions, whatever it is, reach out to me. And because one of my biggest passions, guys, is to help people not only do better in the workplace. I think work is great, right? It's awesome. You need to provide, you need to do good in the workplace. But on the list, it's like fifth down on the list. I want people to take care of their spirituality. I want them to be incredible in their relationships, whether that's in a marriage, or relationships as a parent, a grandparent, whatever it may be. As a coworker, that's important. I'm passionate about helping people live a healthier lifestyle. It's incredibly important. So, but then works in there, and then passion. But so, anyways, I'm gonna go, guys. Reach out to me if you need anything. Talk to you later. Bye.